Welcome to Still Untitled, the Adam Savage Project. I'm Will.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Norm.
Once again, we're doing this weird three-head roadcast thing. We don't see it the way it's going to look right now, so hopefully it all works out in the end. We're putting our fate in the hands of Joey Famelli, who's a talented and brilliant man. Who you guys might not see behind the scenes a lot, but he's here all the time and does. Norm vogued.
I'm framing myself because
it looked like you were,
everyone sees
Vogue,
my head.
Done. Yeah. We can't do any more else. The YouTube police come and get us.
Joey is a Swiss Army knife. That's what Joey is.
Joey is he's much more than a Swiss Army knife.
Yes, true.
How you're on the road still? You were in New York last week. You were in Detroit last time I talked to you.
I was in New York on a couple days ago. Then I did Buffalo. Then we did Detroit. And then we had 2 days off before Richmond, Virginia. So I actually flew back to New York. The whole crew drove to Virginia, but I came to New York to hang out for a couple days.
Oh, wow. So that means you're there for the magical... there are 3 or 4 really great days a year in New York. The first day of spring, the day after the Mets or maybe the Yankees win the World Series, like that morning when everybody wakes up really hungover and it's like, anything's possible. And then that first snow, the morning after the first snow.
And I woke up this morning and it was snowing outside. It was absolutely beautiful. I took a couple of pictures. What's that? Did I freeze?
Oh, no, we're having Skype issues. Don't worry. Just charge on. Okay. It's all good.
I woke up this morning and the flurries were gorgeous and there was snow on the ground. I took some pictures. I'm in this wonderful hotel room way over on the west side and a beautiful view of the Hudson. So it's just been wonderful. I walked across town to go have coffee with a good friend of mine and having dinner with some good friends tonight. So I'm getting all the wonderfulness that I want out of New York.
Oh, that's great. Are you going to go for a walk in the park? Yeah, that's always a good snow day activity. Or do you think you think it's safe for you?
So 3 of my oldest friends live here in New York. I had dinner with 2 of them last night, and right after this podcast, I'm hooking up with the third one, my buddy David. And I don't know, maybe we will go to the park. We've been talking about different things to do. I was also thinking about heading to a museum, or we could go see a movie. It's all up in the air. But park is now under consideration. It's a really good idea.
If you were to go to a museum in New York, what's your go-to museum?
My go-to is the Museum of Natural History, actually.
Okay.
As made famous by a night in the museum?
Night at the museum, and actually the Squid and the Whale.
Okay. I had never been there until we were in New York last fall for Maker Faire, and I grew up going to the Smithsonian's in D.C., which are fantastic museums. But the American History Museum in New York it's in Central Park basically is unbelievable.
It is built by Teddy Roosevelt. It is I finally brought my wife here about 5 years ago, and I just insisted, like, on this morning we're going to head to the museum, and she really was like, really? Natural History Museum? I don't think so, but she went along with it, and she walked in, and she was picked her jaw up off the floor. It was wonderful to turn around, because it is a mind-blowing museum.
It's a museum-ass museum. Like, it is the museum that all other museums aspire to be.
It's known for the animals they have there. The
taxonomy collection.
Yes, taxidermy.
Taxidermy. They have taxidermy. They have dinosaurs. They have the planetarium is there.
And it's the home of the Hayden Planetarium, where you were for Neil deGrasse Tyson when you chatted with him for Star Talk. Mm-hmm. But the whole story of taxidermy back in the mid-century, and the conservationists killed animals because they thought that they wanted to preserve them for future generations.
Well, there were infinite animals at that point.
Yes.
It was more like Eden. It's true.
We hadn't reached peak animal yet.
I have to also give a shout-out to the Museum of Moving Image. I think I've mentioned it on the podcast before. It's in Queens, but it is a wonderful, wonderful museum about cinema and filmmaking.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
Well, and then there's art. I mean, the art museums, and there are plenty of it's a city ripe with museums.
Oh so. Yeah, no. New York it's terrific. So I ate last night at the amazing Red Rooster, Marcus Samuelson's restaurant up in Harlem.
Ooh, what did you have? Paint us a word picture, Adam.
I started with an appetizer of fried chicken served with a duck liver pate and waffles with a bourbon maple syrup.
So the fanciest chicken and waffles you've ever had?
It wasn't even the fanciest. It was just the best. I mean, it's kind of it really feels almost like eating in one of David Chang's places, because it feels like comfort food, but it's like the best version you've ever had. My friend Angel had the macaroni and cheese, which was fantastic. We had a crab cake, which was mind-blowing. I asked the waiter what I should have for an entree if this was my first time here, and he suggested the Yardbird, which is all dark meat fried chicken served with okra and mashed potatoes.
Wow.
I have to say, I was not a big fan of okra. I am now a giant
Really?
fan of okra. Well, I didn't know enough about okra. I didn't know how good it could be, but boy, Marcus cooks it with, it's got a little spice and a little bite to it, and it's super, I mean, it was like, it's a brand new comfort food, which is a rare thing.
It's true. Okra cooked badly is slimy, and the fried stuff falls off the sides, and it's limp and not good. But it cooked well, it's amazing.
So, Adam, when you go dining with friends, are you open to sharing and trying everyone's dishes?
I am open to sharing. It is on a case-by-case basis. I'm a funny eater that way. When I order the thing that I want, I'm usually like, this is what I'm going to eat. And so I'm very unidirectional in that way. I know that there are some people who are like, I've got to get the biggest taste profile of this restaurant, and that's not exactly my MO. But in this case, my buddy Davey, my Lomi had the fish, and I had a bite of that. It was terrific. And Angel had the like I said, the mac and cheese, which was phenomenal. So I did get bites of everything on the table last night. Oh, and dessert was these
It kind of depends on how big the plate.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, it depends on how big the plates are too. If you're in like a 14-course French restaurant and you have like, a half a bite per course, sometimes sharing
Yes.
that, you're not going to dole that out 6 ways.
I totally
Comfort
agree.
food is a different thing.
But
so dessert.
Dessert was what they called Red Rooster Doughnuts, which were like donut holes coated in cinnamon and powdered sugar with a filling of sweet potatoes. And then dipped in whipped cream. Yeah, it was amazing. Amazing.
Oh boy. Hey, so I have a question for you.
Yeah.
We are going to make pork buns this weekend. And I wondered if you had a hoisin sauce recommendation.
Actually, you're going to have to ask Julia for her hoisin sauce recommendation. I don't think we have a brand that we consider to be like better than any other. We just go to Duck Loy, which is around the corner from us, and usually has the great selection of Asian condiments, and we use their brand.
And when you make the buns, because you make you made a mean set of Momofuku pork buns for your New Year's party last year. Do you? I guess I figured I should give context for the folks at home.
Yes.
Do you make your buns from scratch, or do you go out and just buy them at a good Asian market or something?
No, we make our buns from scratch, but I will tell you that. And are you thinking about doing the David Chang recipe for the buns?
Yeah, I'm going to do. Well, it's 50-50 because we're with all the baby food in the freezer, we're pretty maxed on freezer space right now.
Right.
So, and it requires a fair amount of freezer because you freeze like 50 buns.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the question.
So actually, after this podcast, I'll hook you up by email with Julia. Julia found a recipe whose buns are as good as Chang's but less work.
Ooh, that sounds compelling.
Chang's recipe is perfect. I mean, the buns are incredible, but boy, it's like a 3-hour extravaganza.
Yeah, they taste like velvety pillows in your mouth.
Yeah, and this one is very similar. It's just there's a couple of steps that it streamlines, and we found it every bit as delicious. And then are you going to... Actually, for freezer space, because we vacuum pack the buns, are you going to do that?
That was my thought, yeah.
Yeah. They last forever.
Yeah, the plan is to make about 4 times as much as we need. We're having people. Norm's coming over. A bunch of people are coming over. We're going to make some pork buns, and then I'm going to seal whatever's left and send some home with people and leave some in the freezer, hopefully, assuming there's some left. What should we talk about this week? I don't think we have a.
We were going to talk about New York and jackets.
Oh.
Yeah, just as we were starting the podcast, I was telling Norm that on my way back to the hotel last night, I stopped by the All Saints store here on the west side, and lo, I found a jacket that I loved. And it's just, I think that I have a problem. I have a hard time meeting a jacket that I don't fall in love with.
It's funny because I have the exact opposite problem. I am now in probably year 3 of my quest for the perfect San Francisco jacket, and I have a lot of hoodies, which kind of are okay.
Yeah,
but I want to find a nice jacket, and I keep buying them and wearing them for a week and then returning them because they're either too warm or too cold or not enough pockets or too many pockets or giant, big, and bulky or it's a trick. It's a tricky piece of clothing.
It is a tricky piece of clothing, but let me ask you some questions. As the owner of at least 30 jackets, maybe we can hone in on the perfect jacket for you. Like, what do you want there? What are you looking for? Something that's good for any occasion?
I like something that's good for any occasion, but something that I'd wear sport coats. I'm okay pulling out the kind of nice end of the spectrum, but going to dinner where I'd wear jeans and a shirt, all the way down to wearing to work for t-shirt, with t-shirts and sweatshirts and stuff like that. I like a lot of pockets. Like, I like your traditional kind of army style jacket with the exterior pouch pockets. I like a waxed canvas. I'm okay with leather. Not a huge fan. Something that I can wear in the rain, but also in the dry. What else? This is really specific.
That's a really specific and yet diverse selection of options. I don't know if maybe someone out there can help pick a jacket. I'll tell you this. San Francisco's weather is so varied also with our microclimates that I don't think you're going to find one jacket that's going to fit all of our weather.
I had one waxed cotton one for years that had a zip-out liner that was perfect. Yeah.
I don't find... Let's see. I mean, I do drag out different jackets for different things. I've got a light raincoat for most days in San Francisco. It's not really a raincoat, but it's it's like 3/4 length and it's nice and light and it's black and I really like the hang of it. I've got some heavier coats for when it gets cold, which is really pretty rare. I got a go-to suede that I really like that I bought in Vegas a couple years ago. Maybe, Will, what you should do is you should come over and I'll pull out my jackets.
Adam, have you seen that?
You could try on a whole bunch and we could kind of sculpt the Will Smith look for the right jacket because I'm sure I've got enough of a spectrum that you could figure it out.
Adam, you're going to Ryan Gosling, Will Smith, Steve Carell from Crazy Stupid Love.
This is a weird place we're going with this show. I think we should just launch a new site called Jacket Aficionado and put you in charge of it, Adam.
I think people are curious about fashion tastes and
I have
utility.
A lot of jackets. When I said I have 30 jackets, I'm not covering my suit jackets. I'm not covering my blazers. That's a whole separate issue.
It's possible you have a jacket problem. We may need to have a jacket intervention.
I don't think I need an intervention.
No one ever thinks they need an intervention.
Maybe what could solve it is the perfect jacket.
I think I told you this when we went to see Gravity, Adam, but sometimes I pick out my jackets I watch movies. I go, that looks like a really good jacket that Colin Farrell is wearing in Total Recall. And so there's a forum just for people who find the jackets that stars wear in movies and the closest substitute that might not be, $1,000 or $2,000. And I go buy those.
I need to know that forum. That's a great idea. I mean, I know the Replica Prop forum does that a lot, but...
Oh, no, there's one just for jackets.
Oh.
Is it called Jacket Aficionado? Because if it's not, I'm going to be a little sad. So, okay, so when you're buying a jacket, clearly you're searching for something. Do you pick a use in mind, or are you just looking for style and cut and kind of the hang of the thing?
I am, it needs to be comfortable. It needs to fit me right. So I tend to try and buy something that fits really well, is tailored to me. And the key thing is the outline, honestly.
The silhouette.
The hang. Yeah. I mean, I have my, I'm there in the store. I got my cowboy hat on. I put the jacket on. If they don't work together, then that jacket's not coming home.
Norm just pulled a jacket out of his bag. I assume this is for your Christmas gear.
Oh, no. It's just my jacket.
Oh, this is just your jacket?
I'm just going to put on.
Is that a waxed cotton? It looks like a kind of dark
Total
blue
Recall
gray
jacket.
Oh, it is a Total Recall jacket. Have you always done this and I've just never noticed?
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. Hey, that's a good jacket.
Yeah.
It is a good jacket. Norm always has good jackets.
Yeah, the silhouette and the fit are the most important things. Like,
yeah, and
a good jacket. Will look bad.
A lot of people buy a jacket that's one size too big for them, and that's a terrible, terrible crime. You can't do that.
Well, I mean, I have a little bit more around the middle than maybe you guys do, so I've got to be careful that I don't end up looking like the Michelin Man or something if I get too snug along the waist.
Of course, totally.
Yeah, this is a real challenge.
Absolutely, that makes all the sense in the world. It's just, I wear a 40. Regular, and oftentimes with jackets, what they hand you for a 40 is like a 44.
Yeah.
And so jackets tend to be sized a little over, and maybe it's because people wear them over stuff and stuff like that.
Well, I think the old rule was that you were supposed to wear the jacket over your sport coat,
right?
Or your suit jacket when you were going to work, which completely throws off the whole system.
Well, and that's a much more East Coast thing. In San Francisco, you're never, ever, almost never going to put something on over your suit. That's just, it's never that cold, unless it's today.
Yeah, it is. Just to be clear, it was so cold my battery didn't turn over this morning. I had to jump start the car. Of course, it's also probably time for a new battery in the car, but these things are beside the point. It started fine yesterday.
Amazing.
Also, while we're talking about fashion, I guess, as best as we can, I want to give a shout out. There's actually a great resource online now that a lot of people are becoming more aware of on Reddit. It's a subreddit, MFA, Male Fashion Advice, and it's the most welcome, opening, non-judgmental community that gives really good tips on where to get on fit and where to get good.
Do they ask you questions about like what you like and what you're into and all that?
You can ask all the questions you want, and someone really informed will basically give you great advice and tailor something to you.
There was a movie, I guess it was Crazy Stupid Love, where Ryan Gosling basically tells Steve Carell, hey, look, you need 16 pieces of clothes to completely change your wardrobe.
Completely arbitrary number.
Obviously, it's an but it isn't much more than that. You need a pair of good jeans. You need a couple of shirts that are universal. You need a jacket. You need a belt. You need a couple pairs of shoes. And you're not looking at, especially if you accumulate over the course of a year, you're not looking at spending a ton of money to completely change the way you dress and de-slobify if you're dressing now.
What's funny is that there is definitely a cultural bias for men not to spend a lot of time on something like pants. But I will tell you, being married to someone who buys me the best pants in the world, that the difference between a pair of jeans with the right kind of fit and the pair of jeans that are almost the right kind of fit is huge. And maybe it's just because I've become a little more conscious about that sort of thing, but I totally get how putting on a pair of nice jeans with the right shoes and a good jacket cuts a silhouette that you feel really good about, and that changes your mood when you head out into the world. Do I sound like a chick? I might.
No.
It's
and
okay.
The important thing that you said there, Adam, wasn't brand or price. It was fit. And it really is,
totally.
If you get something that fits you well, then it's going to look great.
Well, and especially with a pair of jeans,
I also
which is a piece
tend
of
to do
clothing
this thing like...
I mean, my jeans have a life cycle that starts as nice pairs of jeans that I wear out into social events and maybe even to work. Then they kind of gradually devolve into the jeans that I wear to work every day. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I do this thing where if I find a pair that I really like of something, I'll buy 2 or 3 of it. This shirt I'm wearing is a Barney's interior brand called Basco. And I bought first a shirt, one of these shirts in gabardine, and I liked it so much I bought 2 more because I knew, like, I love this shirt. It works in almost every occasion, and having 3, I never have to worry about not having one available.
Well, and by the time you wear out those shirts, something else will be in fashion anyway. So
Exactly. So you were in the middle of the life cycle of your jeans.
Oh, the life cycle of the jeans. They start out as the nice jeans that you wear out in the evening, and then they become the jeans you wear to work, and then they become the jeans that you wear when you're working around the house, and then eventually they become the jeans that you wear when you can't wear sweatpants, because of social reasons. But they're so soft and like worn out and broken in and run down that they're it's like wearing a chambray shirt.
I have this thing that my jeans wear out pretty quickly in the knees, and as soon as they do, I really don't want to wear them anymore. I can't stand wearing jeans with big holes in the knees anymore.
Well, we age out of that.
It's
I think
no
Adam.
longer
Yeah,
the
I
90s.
think you're probably right.
Yeah, the good pair of jeans. It's funny. Gina went out and bought a pair of jeans for me once that were probably. I mean, they probably weren't even very expensive. They were probably $30 more than the jeans I was normally buying, but they fit so much better. It became something that, like, you could squat down, you could bend over, you could walk around, you could jog, the whole thing. It's a magical experience. Good pair of dungarees.
It really is. So back to New York just a little bit. I got to spend a few hours yesterday with my friend Tom Sachs in his studio.
Oh, cool.
Got to see some of the stuff he's working on and meet actually many of his shop assistants. Next time you guys are here in New York, you got to go there.
Absolutely.
I think we have to do a springtime in New York trip outside of Maker Faire.
Totally agree. It is. His shop is an amazing wonderland, and I took a whole bunch of pictures this time because.
Did you follow the rules?
What do you mean the rules?
He has 10 bullets. The rules are all about for visitors and employees in the shop.
I did. Sorry. Of course I followed the rules.
It's a sacred space, Adam.
I engaged as part of the ritual. I also met his filmmaker, Van Neistat.
Oh, cool.
Who was very cool. I mean, we sat and had lunch and talked about art and philosophy and life together for a few hours.
He used to work in the shop, right? He started out as an intern or as a assistant or whatever in the shop.
I think that's correct. Yeah.
His brother Casey also does a lot of has a really good YouTube channel. It's constantly updated with like short. It's almost like short films that just come out of his head and end up blasting out a Final Cut, and he produces at a really incredibly prolific rate.
Oh, cool! I didn't realize that. I knew
both
that.
are good YouTube.
Yeah,
follows.
I knew that he was
Van
making
Casey.
films. I didn't know he had a YouTube channel. Yeah.
You also said you were in Detroit before coming back to New York, and I'm really curious what Detroit was like. And we hear so many stories about the state of Detroit and a lot of just underground culture and maker movement in Detroit. Did you get to see any of that?
Mostly from the audience. We rolled into Detroit a little bit late because of the winter and the long drive, and it was very cold. There were some snow flurries. We were performing at the unbelievable Fox Theater in Detroit, which is one of the most beautiful theaters in the country. And I know that Detroit is in trouble. I know that there's a really vibrant maker and art movement in Detroit. And when you're up on stage, I think this is the third time we've performed there. When you're up on stage, you really, really feel this wonderful community in that town. So unfortunately, we didn't get a time to get out and about in Detroit. I was still so spent from New York. I really needed some sleep. But the audiences there are just, it's hard to describe how much you feel that sort of simpatico need to make and need to modify. And, and I think that's the right thing. I think a city like Detroit, people flocking to it and bringing some real culture to it is exactly a fantastic salve for the difficulties that city is undergoing right now.
Have you? I know we've talked about it before in person, but I can't remember if we talked about it on the podcast. Have you been to the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn?
No, I have not.
Oh, the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan, is another one of the great museums of the world. It is basically a museum of the Industrial Revolution and everything that came after. So It's from steam engines and water-powered stuff and all that on and they go through all the way through the automobile in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. But more than just cars, which is what you'd expect from the Ford Museum, there are giant steam locomotives, diesel locomotives, coal-powered is steam, but electric trains, and then like washing machines and all the kind of early machinery, household machinery, and refrigerators and ice boxes and stuff like that marked the turn of the last century, and the kind of what I would consider the dawn of what has become modern American consumerist society. And also Thomas Edison's last breath is there. So
what?
Yeah,
what?
There is a jar. It's an unassuming jar on a shelf. I know I've talked about this on the other podcast, but probably not here. There's an unassuming jar in the middle of an aisle, and it's the museum is arranged almost like a supermarket. There are these 8 or 10 foot wide aisles, and it's just like, it's not even shelves. It's just like a dense. There's a velvet rope or a bar, and then there's like 10 feet of stuff in front to back arranged in kind of you can see everything, but it's definitely maximally full.
That's amazing.
And there's a jar just on a shelf that says Thomas Edison's last breath, and then you read the sign, and it doesn't explain all of the questions I want to know about Thomas Edison's last breath are not explained. Not one of them is explained. Like, whose job was it to sit there and wait for him to did you keep catching the breaths until you were sure it was the last one?
Did the breath end with a rattle? Is that what happened?
Did somebody push on his chest at the very end? Like, what's the mechanism there? I don't know. I want to open it up and see.
I don't think anyone's going to open it up and see, but it'd be nice to sample that and be like, oh,
yeah,
he had some mashed potatoes on the last day and a shot of vodka.
It's a great museum. Everybody, if you're ever in the Detroit area, should go to Henry Ford Museum. It is an absolutely singular experience.
I did have a little bit of a bittersweet experience yesterday. I walked the entire distance from Tom's studio back to my hotel on the west side, and I walked down 8th Street. Now, my first adult job was working as a projectionist at a famous theater called the 8th Street Playhouse on 8th Street and 6th Avenue in the Village. And it is famous for, it is where the Rocky Horror Picture Show fad began.
Oh, wow.
Now, technically, the midnight viewings of Rocky Horror with the performance started at the Waverly Theater. However, they only lasted a few months there before migrating to the 8th Street Playhouse, where they ran for, I think, somewhere around 30 years, being hosted by Sal Piro. The exact experience is depicted in the movie Fame, the original movie Fame. And you can see they're actually in the theater. Sal Piro, the host, is doing his whole shtick. And it was exactly like that. The 8th Street Playhouse lived right below Jimi Hendrix's famous recording studio, Electric Ladyland Studios.
Wow.
And everybody recorded there. Now, I went by it the other day, and the building is gutted and totally changed. Electric Ladyland is no longer there. The 8th Street Playhouse had long ago been turned into the ignominy of a video store, of all things. And now it's like a Rite Aid or something, or it's not even a store. It's like, being rented to somebody else to turn it into something. But the whole building is just like, it's gone. That piece of history is gone.
Well, it's a constantly changing city. Do you ever stomp through the old stomping grounds when you go to New York? Do you go see your childhood home and stuff like that?
So the first 2 years in my life I spent on 8th and McDougal, just about a block from the 8th Street Playhouse. My parents had a duplex there above what used to be Hamburger Mary's, what is now Stumptown Coffee.
Ooh.
And then I guess when I was about 2, we moved to Sheridan Square. And then, as my mom said in the interview, she walked out and found someone vomiting on her doorstep and decided to move to the suburbs.
It turns out that the vomiting on your doorstep really pulls into sharp relief the pros and cons of where you live.
There's a famous story in my family of my mom. She's like, I don't ride the subway. I'm not going to ride the subway. It's too dangerous. Now, this is my mom who was in New York in the 60s, right? And my dad's like, come on, we got to get uptown. It's faster. There's no cabs. It's raining. It's 5 o'clock. We got to take the subway. And again, this is probably like 1970. And she's like, okay. And they get in the subway and they sit down. And just as they sit down, the cops chase, beat down, and arrest a guy right at my mom's feet. like handcuffs and blood on her shoes while she's sitting there, and she turns to my dad and she's like, that's why I don't ride the subway.
Nope. Nope. I mean, just to be clear, this is when you didn't go to the Lower East Side because the Warriors would come out and play and kill everybody, right? This was a scary time in New York. Oh, we got Skype.
This is the time when Alphabet City was a very, very rough neighborhood.
Anything else before we? I feel like
it seems like that's as good place as any.
Yeah, I'm going to enjoy another lovely night here in one of my favorite cities in the world, and then I'm off to touring again. I think we have about 15 more dates before we're done.
Hey, we should mention a couple of things.
Yeah.
We while you've been gone, we relaunched premium memberships on Tested. So what that means is that we are we have a store where you can buy T-shirts featuring our likenesses right now, and some more stuff soon. We're going to have mugs and stickers in the not-too-distant future. We also have premium memberships. So the premium memberships are it's a subscription basically for the site. And what that does is get you an ad-free experience on Tested.com. So no banners. At some point in the future, we'll remove video ads as well, but there's some technical stuff that we have to work out first for that. And then also you get a discount for the store. You get a badge, a little medal on your badge in the forums and in the comments. You get a monthly newsletter from Adam, Jamie, Norm, or me. You get, let's see, what else do you get?
And you get at least 50 pieces of premium content.
50, yeah. Premium content, let's say weekly is the idea. Maybe a little more regular than that. But the first one's up.
Yep.
The first one we recorded, I guess, about a month ago now, right before you left for tour, is a commentary, an unauthorized commentary, just to be clear, for Steven Spielberg's classic AI.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was a lot of fun. Like I'd never done that before.
I'm dying to do it again.
Yeah,
Brazil is next.
We'll take
Brazil. Yes.
I think Brazil. I think we could do something terrible too that would be good. I think we have a lot of options. I think we shouldn't lock ourselves into anything at this point.
Well, we could also I think we should do Brazil. I'm also, we could do Beastmaster.
I don't think I've ever seen Beastmaster.
Oh, see, when I was growing up, HBO stood for, "Hey, Beastmaster's on."
Isn't all I know about Beastmaster? I know from filching my father's Playboys. If I had to guess, because the girl
Tanya
from Charlie's
Roberts,
Angels was in it, right? Yeah, that's everything I know about Beastmaster.
Tanya Roberts,
right there.
the fourth angel, or maybe even the fifth.
Oh, she was
not incorrect.
Oh, she was a scab angel. She wasn't even an original.
No.
Oh, disappointing.
No, the original angels were Cheryl
Teague?
She's Cheryl Teagues, Jacqueline Smith, and Farrah Fawcett. Then you had Cheryl Ladd as the replacement for Farrah Fawcett, and I think Tanya Roberts was late in that game. But Beastmaster is abysmally bad. It was made for about $100.
Wow.
But it stars Mark Singer of If You Could See What I Hear fame.
At some point, we need to talk about TV shows replacing stars because they got too big or too expensive, and then replacing them with the person with the same first name, because that happened a lot. Like the Bewitched thing was Dick York, Dick Sargent. Like
that was weird.
Yeah, I think they just be like, maybe nobody will notice. Maybe they look kind of alike, and we can just swap them out. I don't know.
I'm not sure if you showed me a picture of Dick York and Dick Sargent that I could tell the difference, except that I believe one would be in black and white.
Yeah, I think I want to say that the Dick York is a little kind of he looks like a more compressed version of Dick Sargent, but it could be the other way around.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They all look like Hirschfeld drawings in the file card in my head.
So anyway, premium memberships, you can watch the AI commentary right now. It is, to find out more, go to tested.com/subscribe, and we'll have more good stuff on the site. We'll do live Q&As.
We also have lots of plans for exclusive available stuff for the subscription site.
Yeah, like we're talking about doing some sort of auction or raffle or something for stuff that is actually made by Adam.
I've got some plans for that I'm pretty excited about.
The monthly newsletter, like I always want to make sure we make this clear. I don't like email newsletters for the most part because they're kind of spammy and not good. This is just a letter. It's a thing that we write about what we're interested in that may be off topic for the site, what's going on in our heads right now. I wrote the first one about how I made my Thanksgiving turkey, so it's no longer that topical, although I guess it works for next month. And by the way, that Julia Child's the takeaway on that, if you read the letter and you want to know how it turned out, it was amazing. It was the best.
Oh, really? I did the breast separately and butterflied it and all that stuff?
I did the deconstructed turkey and deboned the thighs and stuffed them and cooked everything separately. Brined the breast alone, didn't brine the thighs, and cooked it all on a bed of stuffing. So I got the equivalent of about 3 times as much stuffing as you can safely pack into the turkey's ass. It was amazing. It was a fantastic turkey. Highly recommend it. So
I'm not sure if ass-packed is the way people like to describe stuffing, but it is effective as a descriptive method.
Butt stuffing is the best stuffing, Adam.
Okay.
And on that note, I think we'll wrap it up. We'll see you guys. Actually, we probably won't see you guys next week. I think this might be it until the end of the year. We might have a surprise episode. But anyway, if we don't talk to you guys again, have a good holiday, and we'll see you next year.
2014.
Okay. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas.
Bye.
Happy Kwanzaa. Bye.